My name is Ryan Wieland, Vice President of Digital Accessibility Sales here at Allyant, and I'm really excited that I get to talk with Aaron Page, our VP of Accessibility today, and bring in his expertise on Alliant's accessibility claims team and our litigation support services. The one thing we want to just start with is we are not lawyers, we're not giving you legal advice, but we are bringing best practices from our deep experience in the accessibility space, and specifically the digital accessibility litigation support services that we offer to our clients. So with that, Aaron, I'm going to kick it off and fire it right to you. So when a customer gets a demand letter or lawsuit, our accessibility claims team jumps in with rebuttal reports. Do you want to highlight what a rebuttal report is and the different variations that those take on?
Yeah, absolutely. So a rebuttal report is essentially our review of the specific claims that were called out in the lawsuit or the demand letter or other complaint document that a client receives. So, for example, if you receive a lawsuit and within the lawsuit it contains 6 specific accessibility claims, what we will do is provide you a rebuttal report that lists out those specific 6 accessibility claims, and it will state what we found when we reviewed each of those claims. Depending on what we find, if we find that we are able to actually rebut each claim, then we provide what we call a formal rebuttal report. And if we find that we are not able to fully rebut each claim, we provide what we call an informal rebuttal report that's intended for your team to use internally to help resolve those issues.
And I know for a lot of our existing clients that have done the hard work and they've gone through accessibility testing and done the remediation, we're able to provide video rebuttals. Do you want to speak a little bit about what a video rebuttal is on top of those rebuttal reports that you've already explained?
Yeah. Oftentimes, when you're talking about litigation and accessibility in the litigation context, it's less a debate about accessibility conformance and more a discussion about usability. Can somebody with a disability, particularly that plaintiff with their disability type, with that assistive technology that they said they're using, can they reasonably be expected to be able to use the site or use the app? And so oftentimes what we find is that in some cases, even if a claim turns out to actually be true, it doesn't stop a user from actually being able to use the website or use the app. A simple example is if you have a button that doesn't work to write a review, well, not being able to write a review doesn't stop you from being able to purchase a product. And so during a rebuttal demo video, we'll actually show myself or another one of our native screen reader users going through the user flow of completing a purchase, really to provide evidence showing that regardless of whatever issues are present, the site remains overall usable.
And another document that we really help with and support internal or external counsel with is our Affidavit of Accessibility Activities. Do you want to speak a little bit about how that supports our customers, really showing the hard work that they've done to best practices and dedication to accessibility of their digital infrastructures?
Yeah, absolutely. So, an affidavit of accessible activities, what it does is it lists out all of the milestones, all of the steps an organization has taken to ensure that their website, their mobile app, whatever that digital property is, to make that accessible. We track in the Allyant platform all of your accessibility milestones from the date that we sign the SOW all the way through audit completion, individual rounds of QA testing, letter of conformance, ongoing maintenance and support, you name it. And we track all of those milestones specifically so in the scenario where it is helpful, we can provide an affidavit of accessible activities that lists out all of the efforts and activities you've taken to make your property accessible, which really goes to demonstrate to the court that there really isn't anything more that can be done, that it is essentially moot, so to speak, because you have already been working with a vendor, you have already undertaken all of these efforts and activities to make the site accessible. There's nothing more that the court could really require you to do, and this document helps prove that.
Yeah, and I think then I'll shift to the just overall litigation support that we provide because I think it's really differentiated here at Alliant and through our accessibility claims team. And the main way is we're happy to work with a team's internal and external counsel, right? To support them in how they want to respond to the claim, how they want to sort of rebut these claims. You want to speak a little bit about that? Because I know it's a very interactive process where we'll do those rebuttals, we'll provide those reports, but we also want to support them in a way that allows them to really tackle this issue as they see fitting.
Right. The way that we really approach it is that our role is to help support the client's legal team. We don't want to hijack the legal process or dictate what the strategy and approach is going to be. So once we complete a rebuttal report and or we generate one of those rebuttal demo videos, what we like to do is hop on a call with the client and their legal counsel, really to talk through our findings, talk through what we found and why, help explain it in a way that somebody who doesn't have years of accessibility expertise can understand, and to really help them understand the usability impacts of those accessibility issues. And with that information, your legal team can really use that to help negotiate a settlement agreement and a settlement amount.
And I think the final thing that I'll kind of ask is just your insight on, how we can do this more in real time for net new customers as well as existing customers. I think there's this innate fear in the accessibility space of needing to be 100% conformance, but that's not necessarily true, right? We're able to provide these services based on where a customer is at in their journey and how we can support them mitigate their risk and litigate the case at hand.
Perfection is not the goal. Ultimately, the goal is to ensure that the site or the property is substantially conformant and that it is, in fact, actually usable by persons with disabilities. Um, it's important to note that even if accessibility issues are present, it doesn't mean that the site is not usable. And just because something was called out in an accessibility lawsuit or demand letter doesn't necessarily mean that it's true or that it is, in fact, an accessibility violation. So, for example, one issue we often see in lawsuits and demand letters is a claim that says the site contains multiple links that go to the same location. Oftentimes, this happens on e commerce websites where you have a product image link and a product name link that both go to the same location. Well, that is actually not a requirement of the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines to consolidate those. It is recommended, but it's not required. And so, even if you haven't had an audit, even if you've not undergone any remediation work so far, if this claim is being called out against your website, we can help rebut it based not on the fact that the issue doesn't exist, but on the fact that it's not actually a requirement of the Web Content Accessibility Guidelines. And so even if we have not done an audit yet, we can still review those claims for you and determine whether or not they are in fact actual violations and if they actually prevent users from being able to access the digital property.
Yeah, I think the final thing that I'll state and ask you, Aaron, is this is really just baked into our services here at Alliant. We believe this is a really critical differentiator for our clients. It's not an additional cost. You get access to our accessibility claims team if or when you need them. And this support is really customized to fit your needs. Do you want to speak a little bit about that? Because I think we hear this common concern in the industry from clients that are net new or ones that have gone through this in the past that other vendors offer very standardized reports that really didn't help their internal or external counsel, litigate the case at hand. So do you want to speak a little bit about the customization of these reports to kind of support their team based on where they're at in their journey?
Yeah, absolutely. So, we talked through several of the different reports that we provide. For example, the Affidavit of Accessible Activities. That is fully customized based on all of the activities that you have performed with us, right? So, if you've undergone multiple rounds of QA testing, multiple audits, multiple maintenance sessions, that will be reflected in that affidavit. That affidavit document is customized specifically to you based on the work that you have already done. When it comes to the actual rebuttal reports, we don't just simply print off a standardized form that says you've done work with Allyant, therefore the site is accessible. As I mentioned earlier, what we actually do is we pull the individual specific claims that are being alleged against the property. We also look for other relevant information such as who's the plaintiff, what disability do they have, what assistive technology do they have, that information, and we use that to provide a customized report that specifically responds to those accessibility claims based on our findings on your website. It's not generic or templated really in any way. It will always be specific and unique to the conditions of your digital property and the claims that are being alleged against it.
Well, I appreciate that insight, Aaron. I appreciate all of your hard work and expertise on building this accessibility claims team here at Alliant to support our customers. With that, thank you, and we will chat soon.
Thanks, Ryan. My pleasure.